We're here with Miguel Sapochnik,
Hello.
director of REPO Men. So you started out in storyboarding and the art department. Could you tell us how that prepared you for making a feature movie?
Well, storyboarding is very interesting because it's, I think, the closest to directing that you get, and it allows you to work with the directors, and that seems to play a big role in learning how to direct, because there seems to be I've never been to a class where they tell you how to direct. It's a strange kind of anomaly. Everybody does it in a different way. So storyboarding was a great opportunity to liaise with directors, also to learn about editing, which is another huge part of directing as far as I'm concerned. And that really kind of like prepped me in the right way, so that technically I was much more aware of what I needed to do to make a movie come together later on, once I actually got a gig directing.
And your first short movie was The Dreamer, correct?
Mm-hmm.
In 2000. How was that transition, going from a little movie into one that has such a large budget and big name actors?
Scary, but what are you going to do? It's I think that, ironically, no matter what the size of the budget, it never seems like enough when it comes down to it, because your idea is relative to that budget. You don't get someone doesn't get like $80 million to do a really small romantic comedy set in one room. It just doesn't happen. And so it felt like a natural, organic progression. I was essentially very lucky on the short film that we had a rather kind of big short film, so I already had worked with a crew of 70 and up. So moving on to a crew of about 100, 150, 200 wasn't too much of a leap. I think the most exciting thing about moving from a short film to a feature film is that there was this guy who used to come and get me in the car every day and drive me to and fro from work, and that was just one of my most exciting moments.
Living the life.
Yeah, exactly.
And you've been involved in the process of making this movie since early, like 2004, 2003?
Yeah, 2004 is when I first read the script, and then we did a lot of work on the script, and then 2006 is when Jude Law got involved, and that really kind of kicked the movie off. And then eventually Scott Stuber, the producer, and the studio, Universal, Forrest Whitaker, they kind of all rolled on after that. But 2004 was the first time I read the script and thought, no one's ever going to make this film.
Is it frustrating? I'm sure when you're making a small movie on your own, you get it done, but is it frustrating going through the studio and taking such a long time to get your vision on screen in front of audiences?
Is it frustrating going to the dentist? Yeah, but you got to do it. You know what I mean?
That's true. That's true. So, what was the biggest challenge and the greatest reward of making REPO Men?
The biggest challenge was not getting fired. The greatest reward was not getting fired.
That is a good answer. And you, from the projects that you've done, it seems that you have you enjoy sci-fi. Is that correct?
Absolutely. I mean, no more than I enjoy any other type of genre. Sci-fi happens to be, for first-time directors, science fiction and horror are great ways to show off some visual style, to demonstrate that you can do a bit of everything. Science fiction in particular is a great way of getting across social comment without hitting people over the head with it. And I think most science fiction has some sort of social commentary there, whether it's on surface or it's buried in the subtext. So that was really that's the draw of science fiction. Would I do another science fiction movie? Yes, sure, absolutely. Am I going to do another science fiction movie next? No, if I can help it.
Would you ever think of doing a movie in Spanish, perhaps?
Actually, the movie that I was meant to go and do next was in Spanish. It was called Rainy the Assassin. It was about a psychiatrist having a midlife crisis who decides to give up being a psychiatrist and become an assassin. He lives in Buenos Aires, and half the film took place in Buenos Aires and half the film took place in London. So yeah, I'd love to do a film in Spanish. I'd love to do a film in Buenos Aires.
Awesome. And you were talking about the social commentary that you can put across in sci-fi. I'm sure this wasn't intentional when you started the project, but now in the United States we have the healthcare debate going on pretty intensely, and this movie kind of mimics what's going on in the healthcare.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. I actually started the healthcare debate.
Exclusive, Gordon the Witch.
Yeah, I started, just by, creating all sorts of havoc in government, etc., all the influences that I have over there. It was the most untopical thing when we started doing this movie, and it became more and more and more topical, more and more interesting. I think that's why it got traction. And even last year, when it was actually, we finished the movie and then we had to wait for Sherlock Holmes to ride those coattails and come out after that, I was crapping myself thinking, oh my god, this is no one's going to care in a year's time, and I could not have been more wrong.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking the same thing, that like when Barack Obama started talking about healthcare, that in a year, if he didn't get it done, people were just going to be like, healthcare? What about healthcare?
Now they're really talking about it.
Yeah, exactly. And final questions. Do you get to enjoy South by Southwest, or is it all work?
I just got here. I plan to work all day, and if I don't enjoy it this evening, then I'll be having words with the sponsors.
Hey, you're eating cookies and drinking coffee.
Yeah,
that's enjoyable.
That's
right
living
there.
the life, and I have a gold kind of bandy thing here, which they pay me in these.
All right. Well, Miguel, thank you so much for talking with us.
My pleasure.